there is the question of, are we looking at a bull trap deviation? And let's not forget about that. Okay, that is really important, because I think a lot of people right now are not going to be seeing this coming if we see a big bull trap. And don't worry about it, I got you covered. We're actually going to be making a video on that very soon. You're going to see a video on that later on today. So double check that you're subscribed, double check that you've ticked the bell icon, because this is extremely time sensitive content. We are going to be talking about that if that happens. That will be the mother of all trading opportunities, by the way, but we'll talk about that later. Like I said, you can get yourself set up with all these links down below. You're already fucking late, ladies and gents, if you haven't done it yet, but you know, this is only the beginning. It's definitely not going to cool off anytime soon. I think I might be wrong, but I don't see this cooling off anytime soon at all. Given all of these factors that are present, you know, just a more kind of fundamental approach of like, okay, who's still in the market? Who, like, how fucking crazy for Bitcoin must you be to have not sold at this point? You know what I mean? Like, you know, like you must be fucking wired, bro. You must be like absolutely like different in your brain. I know, because I am. You sat through all of this shit. You're not going to part with your Bitcoin on the first breakout. You know what I mean? I think that's why we're seeing such a big breakout here. And again, it's just up to these next resistance levels. Now, I like to actually visualize this market in terms of zones. I've already got one zone right here with this set of yellow lines. I'm actually just going to go ahead and draw a nice green box to represent that. But what we're going to do is make them dotted, just because I think that this really helps us you know, kind of visualize what we're actually working with here. The next box that I'm going to draw is probably going to stretch something a little bit like this. You know, we're looking at more or less kind of 33K up to about 41. Okay, and that's because this is more or less where Bitcoin was setting its highs. This is, you know, take a look at this. This is where we were seeing you know, nice spikes of resistance. We got big retests of support. Look at this big. I mean, you know, this was the death rally for Bitcoin, the death drop for Bitcoin. You know, when we pumped, when we dropped down to $40,000, found some more resistance, you know, some more consolidation. This is clearly the top of the range. I think that's very clear. I mean, you know, this was where Bitcoin ended its first big pump after the rally above 20K. I think the bottom of the range, it's very fair to say that it's going to be around here at about 34, 33. We were saying this before. If you were watching the channel before, this isn't going to take you by surprise. I'm going to go ahead and drop a couple more dotted lines right here. You know, and the reason I'm saying this is if you just kind of look at the key candle closes, candle opens, I mean, you know, this is where we got some of this action. We had this nice wick right here. We had a little bit of resistance along this line. It's clearly an important level in the market. We consolidated right on this line. If we took the VPVR, we would see the same thing as well, by the way. Yeah, if we take a look at the VPVR, it's not great. It doesn't make it super obvious. Let's see if it... Yeah, I mean, we have a little bit of a spike here. I think the other price action makes it very hard to visualize this because there's so much shit going on above. But you do see a spike here, which is very, very clear. So, you know, I would define this as the bottom of the range. And, you know, again, we kind of paint where we are right now. Obviously, this chart has not updated yet, but Bitcoin is sitting at, 1 second, 33. So, you know, I mean, it's moving very quickly. But, you know, Bitcoin basically did this. But this is where Bitcoin is right now. You know, so we more or less got rejected off, you know, this range. We've kind of fallen out of it. You know, the question of how high can Bitcoin go, I think to the top of the range. I think $41,000. That's why it was the thumbnail of the previous video. You know, but now, I mean, you know, we can actually start to get a little bit more excited with this. Not because, you know, it's fun, but because this is actually, you know, a really fucking big deal, especially if Bitcoin can keep this. This happened on a Monday, by the way. So, you know, I mean, what a fucking way to start the trading week, you know, on a day, by the way, where the dollar is just not looking great. I mean, you know, and we know this, the dollar is going to be trading you know, for 24 hours every day until the weekend now, you know, and it is just not in a good place right now. I mean, the dollar is weak. You know, if we go back to that BLX chart right now, I mean, it's a really good setup for Bitcoin to actually just fucking full send again, you know, right to the top of the range. And if we actually use this line to kind of extrapolate what a potential target would be, we can actually bring this up to the breakout point, and we're now getting a printed target of $46,000. But, you know, I mean, this can just get so much more insane, you know, and I want to give you an example of what that would potentially look like. I mean, we've got a couple examples of here's something that I didn't show you from the last video. This was actually part of the notes that I had, but I just didn't get around to it. We've actually started to develop a bullish MACD setup right here, and we've seen some crazy shit coming off it. If we look at these lines crossing bullish, we had the blue line going above the orange line over here. It happened over here. You can't really see these. It's too zoomed in. I'm sorry, it's too zoomed out. But let me just hide my camera so you can see these. And we are like right on the cusp of it right now. I don't know if I can zoom in. I can't really zoom in to show it to you, unfortunately. But I mean, you just gotta squint. You can kind of tell the blue line is curving up. It's about to cross above that orange line. So, I mean, back in 2019, that was a 300% move. Back in 2020, that was a 660% move. I mean, it's just fucking ridiculous. It is just absolutely insane. If we extrapolate this to look at some of the potential targets for Bitcoin, just, fairly conservative, kind of in the middle of what we saw before, even less than that. We're not looking at anything amazing, anything huge. We are still looking at $100,000 Bitcoin, and we only need to pump up by 235%. Now, I know, again, this is sounding really crazy and stuff like that, and that's off where we start. That's off like hours ago. Like, Bitcoin is literally thousands of dollars higher than that right now. It's a little bit closer. And Bitcoin doesn't even need to do the smallest gain, that I've got printed for you on this chart here. Now, I want to make it clear with you, MACD crosses happen a lot. This is not the most reliable indicator, but this really helps to put into perspective how we've done crazy shit like this before, and for Bitcoin to pull off that big 100K target, it's not as far away as you might think when you consider these massive areas on the chart, when you consider these massive flashes of potential bullish crosses here. So really big stuff here, ladies and gents, that we could be looking at. Very clear path to that potential $100,000 Bitcoin if Bitcoin continues on this path. But the first thing that we need to do is we need to get in this green box. We're not in this green box yet. Again, like I said, this particular chart, BLX, has not updated yet, but we've done more or less something a little bit like this. We need to confidently be in here, and obviously rise to the top of the range. Once we can rise above this range, we can start looking at the next, we can start looking at the next ranges. Let's take a little bit of a deep dive into what that looks like. That is going to be, for me, somewhere probably like around here. I think this is a really nice look at that range. Yeah, and these are all numbers that we're very familiar with if you've been watching me for a while. We've got $46,000 over here. I mean, clear resistance over here. Very obvious, clear support. We set an all-time high, and where do we bounce off? Like exactly this level. So very important level. I mean, the market crashed down horrifically back in 2022. Where did it stop? Right here. Triggered a rally. Where did it end? Right here. So the top of this range, also very important. Clear resistance. We set an all-time high at this level. I mean, this is a critical level for the market. Kind of stretching between 46,000 and 52,000. This is a really good way, ladies and gents, in my opinion, to visualize the key levels in this market. So let me just go ahead and stretch this out, because this is going to be the main chart that I use to demonstrate the very long-term potential for Bitcoin here. So I do want to make sure that we all kind of get used to this chart, get comfortable with this chart, and everything in between these gaps. These are the empty ranges where it should be very easy for Bitcoin to just rocket up, and you can see that very clearly. Again, it's the same thing that I was telling you about with that kind of supply demand ceiling analogy I was giving you. Where, you can see the first time Bitcoin ever pumped above this box, it was just a full send. In the first day, it was just absolutely crazy. When we dropped below it, it was very quick to drop down. When we went above it again, very quick to get back up. When we dropped below it, very quick to get down. When we bounced off it properly, both times, very quick, to just bridge this entire range. One of the things that people don't really understand, but that I really preach, is that as a trader, I always try and make my life as easy as possible. A lot of other people, they try and do this shit on steroids and just do a bunch of crazy shit, but that's not my approach. My life is not trading only. I have a fucking life outside of this shit, and I trade as a means to an end. I don't trade because whatever, I just want to trade. Like, no, I trade to make money like a fucking normal person. I don't care about it other than for making money. So why would I want to make my life difficult? Why would I want to do weird things and, just take fringe strategies? It's just not necessary. So, I'm always kind of looking for these easy ranges to make money, and that's where I'm seeing that potential. So, it was very easy to cross this range. This whole big box, I know it's not that helpful. It's a $7,000 range, but this whole big box is where I'd start to expect a little bit of resistance for Bitcoin. And if we do dive in a little bit closer, the next key resistance block that I'm going to see is, the next key resistance block is where we stopped. To be very clear, that's because it's a round level, it's a round area, the 35K area, but also because there was a lot of consolidation here. We already looked at the VPVR and we could see a lot of clear, kind of consolidation and resistance in this range. So this is the clear block for resistance that, we kind of have to break for Bitcoin. But it's the same as before. You break the block and then the ceiling is like the boss fight. Like you've beat all the little minions in the block, and it's not hard to do that. It's not easy to do that either. But then you get to the top and now you're fighting the queen. You killed all the pawns, you killed all the rooks, the horses, whatever, but now you've got the queen, and the queen is not easy.